Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I know I'm dressed rather unconventionally, but it is the last day of 2023 and I wanted to get this video out for you before the new year properly starts. So the reason I was so excited to make this video is because I'm going to be sharing with you my maximum weight loss tips that can get you lean and healthy in 2024. And these are the tips that I'm also going to be following for myself in order to lose the last 10 pounds all over again. As you guys know, I've recently gained 20 pounds over the last 6 months and I've let my healthy habits and my weight loss strategies slide a little bit, and it's so easy to do that. And if that's you as well, don't worry about it. It's totally natural. We go up and down, but I'm wanting to hone it in and I'm wanting to lose those last 10 pounds again to get super lean and super strong 2024. So whether you need to kickstart your weight loss journey and you're starting from scratch, or you're in the same position as me and you just need to kick it up a notch, these are the tips that are really going to help you out. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm going to assume that you already know about Starch Solution, low calorie density, and oil-free, whole food, plant-based, vegan goodness. So that's just a starting point. If you don't understand all of those basic principles, go and read the Starch Solution. Have a look at a calorie density chart. We're wanting to eat foods that are under 600 calories per pound. That's whole plant foods, fruits, veggies, starches, legumes with a sprinkling of healthy fats in there, no processed stuff. Now that that's out of the way and we're all on the same page, these are the tips that I'm going to be working on to really maximize my weight loss results. Also, I want to mention I am a volume eater and I need to eat massive portions of food, and I also love to eat delicious food. I'm a foodie, so I'm not going to be eating boring food. It's going to be incredibly delicious and humongous volumes. And yes, you can lose weight without counting calories or portion control or any of that fluffy stuff. No diets, no fad diets. We're not doing that here. We're eating real food and massive amounts of it. So tip number one is going to be a very basic one, and we all know this. It's obvious, but sometimes it helps to have it as a reminder, and this is one of the things that I have let slide recently. It's all about veggies. Veggies are obviously the food that is lowest in calorie density. They're only about 100 calories per pound, so they give you a massive amount of food. They're high in fiber, high in water, so you can eat a lot of it for very few calories. So when you increase the amount of veggies that you're eating, you get to eat massive portions, fill up your tummy, but not adding in a ton of calories. So obviously the principle of the 50-50 plate is vital. I have let this slide recently. I've not been doing this consistently for 3 meals every single day. Now, when I was losing the last 10 to 20 pounds the first time around, this is the thing that really helped me out. So if you are not already eating half of your plate starches and half non-starchy veggies, I highly recommend you continuously, consistently get those non-starchy veggies in. And even before breakfast, I think is very helpful as well. So that's something I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be skipping my veggies any single meal, including when I have a snack. I'm going to make sure those veggies are on there as well. If you are a volume eater like me, the next thing that you can do, tip number 2, is to preload with fruits or veggies. Fruits also super low calorie density, so I kind of lump those in with veggies often. Preloading is a fantastic strategy for increasing the volume of your food without adding in a ton of extra calories. And what I mean by this is by eating a ton of fruits or veggies before you actually start on your 50-50 plate meal. So I like to do this when I'm feeling quite hungry or if I know I'm going to be needing a lot of food. Some of the best things I can recommend for preloading is soup. Soup is packed full of water, so it's got loads of extra volume. So having a massive non-starchy veggie soup or a salad is obviously fantastic with like a low fat or fat-free dressing. Or also, if you don't have time for that and you just want to munch some stuff whilst you're actually making your food and getting in some preloading, then just munch on some veggies. Get out some carrot and some cucumber and some celery or apples or grapes or something. Have a little bowl of that prepared. Eat that whilst you're making your stuff, and then you can move on to your 50-50 plate. Okay, so tip number 3 is going to be all about starches. So we know, if you read the Starch Solution, starches are incredible for weight loss and obviously incredible for your health. Obviously, I'm talking about whole plant starches here. Now, that is the most important part. If you're wanting to maximize your weight loss results and you're eating a ton of breads or pastas or like corn tortilla chips or something like that, that can be great, but if you've hit a plateau or if you're really wanting to kick your weight loss up a notch, I highly recommend you switch those out for wet starches, which still have all of the water and all of the fiber in them as well. So by wet starches, I mean potatoes, rice, corn, oatmeal, Now, oats is a tricky one. If you don't actually put water in your oats, it's considered a dried starch. If you add water and turn it into like an oatmeal, then it is a wet starch. So make sure your starches are whole plant starches and they have a lot of water and a lot of volume in them. It's going to keep you fuller for longer and for fewer calories. So switch your dry starches like pastas and breads and stuff for your wet starches. Obviously, potatoes are incredible. So if you're wanting to go crazy and like see maximum results, I highly recommend you get as many potatoes into your life as possible. Oh God, I just need to readjust a little bit. So the next thing I want to chat about is healthy fats. Now, I think healthy fats are fantastic and so vital in your diet because they are super healthy for you. They're so good for you. However, if you are wanting to either maximize your weight loss or if you've hit a plateau or if you want to lose the last 10 pounds or something, then sometimes you need to cut back on the healthy fats just a little bit. I have found myself overindulging on healthy fats over the past couple of months, especially during the holiday period as well. And so I'm going to rein that back and I'm going to make sure I have flax in the morning on my porridge or in whatever breakfast. I'm going to be having like a tablespoon of flax or chia. And then I might have like a tablespoon of tahini or a little handful of something here and there. But I'm not going to go crazy and I'm not going to do more than that. If I'm going to have an avocado, I might have like a quarter of an avocado. But I make sure I don't have a ton of healthy fats in my day. And I really want to make sure I focus on that. Okay, so the fifth tip that I've got for you is going to be something that I have talked about so much in the past. And I think once you know what to eat, this is like the missing key. And it's all about honoring your hunger fullness cues. And I know that sounds like a bit of an obscure thing to try and work on. And it can be, and it does take a little bit of practice. But honestly, it's so vital. So for me, that means eating only when I'm actually hungry, not because it's breakfast time, it's lunchtime, or it's dinner time, or whatever time you think you might need to be eating. Just trying to get in tune with your body and ask yourself if you're actually hungry before you start a meal. Now, when I preload on fruits and veggies, that really helps me honor my hunger fullness cues. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a massive sweet porridge with maple syrup or like, one of my sweet potato chocolate brownie batter things because it's sweet and delicious. But am I actually hungry? And the way that I can actually tell if I'm hungry is, am I willing to eat? Am I hungry enough to eat a head of broccoli or some Brussels sprouts or a few apples or a big bag of grapes? If I'm hungry enough to eat that, then I know I'm actually hungry. So that's the first part of it. And the second part, and this is the thing that I've struggled with the most, especially recently, is stopping when you're not hungry anymore. Now, there is a difference between stopping when you're not hungry and stopping when you're full and when you're stuffed. I have a tendency, like I'm sure a lot of people do, to overfill yourself and to stop when you're feeling actually quite full. But the key, the magic is to stop when you're not feeling hungry anymore. And one of the ways that really helps me figure this out when I'm kind of tuned into it is asking myself, am I enjoying my meal as much as I was at the beginning when I started, when I was actually hungry? So for me, if I'm like half or like 3/4 of the way through a meal and I'm starting to like not enjoy my meal quite as much, I tend to be the person that kind of finishes everything on my plate. But if I tune in and I'm not enjoying my meal quite as much, that is like a signal to myself to say, hey, you're not actually hungry anymore and you can stop there. So what I'll do is I'll check in with myself, and if I realize I'm not enjoying it as much, I'll put it all away, I'll pop it down, and I'll say to myself, if I'm still hungry in 10, 15, 20 minutes, I can go back and eat the rest, and I can have seconds if I want. I'm not going to deny myself, but it just gives you a little bit of a chance to let your stomach catch up with what you've actually put inside. It takes about 20 minutes for everything to go down and for you to actually register the food that you've eaten. So sometimes giving yourself that little bit of a break can be super helpful. Now, my sixth tip is all about not making your food super overstimulating. Now, this plays in with your hunger fullness cues so much, and it's so important. They go really hand in hand. So for me, that means not adding a ton of sweet, like not artificial sweet things, but like extra sweet things like dates and maple syrup. I was also using like sweet drops in things recently, which hasn't really served me because it overstimulates all of these things. As a sweet person, especially, I am a sweet lover. They overstimulate my taste buds, and it leads me to eat much more than I would if it wasn't so sweet, and therefore I was able to honor my hunger fullness cues better. So really trying to hone in and cut back on all of those extra sweeteners, although they're healthy, although they're perfect to include in a weight loss diet, depending on where you're at. But if you're working on losing the last 10 to 20 pounds and you're stuck, or you've hit a plateau or something, or you're just wanting to kick things up a notch, I highly recommend using fruit as your natural sweetener. You're so much able to honour your hunger, fullness cues so much more. Not only does dates and maple syrup and stuff add extra calories to your meal, but it also means you eat a lot more of it. Anyway, that's what I found with myself. So I'm going to be really cutting back on the amount of dates and maple syrup and extra sweetener that I consume. Now, if you had an issue with overconsumption on the savoury things, which is less my problem, but sometimes it does come into play, Salt is a massive overstimulating ingredient. So if you feel like you're eating so much stir fry and just can't stop because it's just so delicious, maybe try cutting back on the salt or reducing your salt content completely if you fancy it. Because the more boring, and obviously I don't want your food to be boring, there's a balance here obviously, but the more boring your food is, the less stimulated you're going to be, and the less you're going to crave it just because it tastes good. You're going to eat it for fuel purposes and not because it's just super, super delicious. So really try and hone in on keeping your food really, really simple and as little stimulating as possible if you're wanting to maximize your weight loss results. So that is something I'm going to be working on in 2024. Yeah, I really hope you guys don't mind that I'm in my towel in a shabby room, and I know this is not a beautiful thing to be looking at, but I just wanted, just close your eyes, pretend I'm not here, and I just try and like listen to the message that I'm trying to give you, because I think these are the vital missing steps that are going to really help you on your weight loss journey. Okay, anyway, so the next thing I want to talk about is something that I've fallen into the trap of recently, which is snacking. Snacking is so easily done, and you don't even realize you're doing it because you're just kind of grabbing things, having small licks of things as you go throughout the day. It doesn't feel like a meal, so you don't even really register it. And I think it can often be called food amnesia. So you don't even know what you've eaten. So if you think back on the day, like what you've eaten, you are not going to consider all of those little snacky things part of what you've eaten that day. So really trying to hone in on what you are snacking on is so important. I found myself snacking on my kids' leftovers, a couple of dates here or there, a lick of peanut butter, all of these things which I had been working on to stop all these snacking habits. They've all crept back in, and so gosh darn it, I'm going to get on top of it again, because they can really add hundreds and hundreds of extra calories to your day without you even realizing it. So I am going to be much more conscious of what I am putting in my mouth, and before I pick something up to eat it, I'm going to say, Amy, do I want to be eating this? And so that's just being aware of that is so important, but also making sure that I have prepared some platters, little plates for myself, which I can nibble on and snack on throughout the day, and I'm going to leave it around the kitchen. So instead of gravitating towards something else when I'm busy and I'm just kind of, stressed or whatever, I'm going to have a little plate of grapes and oranges or cut up cucumbers or something. And so I'm going to see that, and because obviously we are so governed by our environment. If I put a little plate there, I'll see that, and that's the stuff I'm going to be munching on, because it's mindless snacking anyway. So I don't even care what I'm snacking on. I just want to be eating something. And with the snacking, nighttime snacking is also something that I know a lot of people find very, very difficult. And me too. I have gotten into the habit, especially around the holidays, and I've kind of been like, yay, just enjoy yourself, which is great. But if you're wanting to really hone it in late, obviously eating late isn't great in general. It's really nice to go to sleep having had a few hours to let your body digest all the food anyway. But obviously you can also add calories into your day unnecessarily. Obviously, I'm not talking about if you're hungry after dinner, don't eat any food. Of course, whenever you're hungry, feel free to eat. I think that's so important. Obviously, make sure you're having your 50-50 plate at all times for all meals if you're wanting to maximize your results. But I'm talking about those moments where you've had your dinner, you're not actually hungry, but you just want something nibbly. This is such a tricky one to kick the habit of, and it's all about habits. It's something you do in the same place, the same time, and you probably snack on the same things most nights, right? So the one tip that I can give you, which has helped me so much, is brushing your teeth. Brushing your teeth after you've had your dinner or before you get to that snacky time of the night is so helpful. It's a signal to your brain to say, right, that's enough food. I've had enough. It's a signal. I'm done, and I'm going to eat some breakfast tomorrow. And the other thing that is really helpful, if you feel like you want to hold something when you're in that snacky mood, is go and get a nice warm cup of tea or a cup of something. Just hot water sometimes is nice with a squeeze of lemon or something. So you've got something to sip on, and you've got something warm and snuggly to hold, to kind of take the place of that snack. If you feel like you have to have a snack, and you have previously been having dates and, higher calorie stuff, then obviously feel free to substitute that initially with some fruit. Have a couple of apples or have a bowl full of frozen cherries or frozen mango or something. That's obviously fantastic and a step in the right direction. And then kind of see how that works in terms of your weight loss progress. And maybe that's perfect. But yeah, for me, sometimes just not having those snacks is very, very helpful because I just don't need it because I'm not hungry, And it all boils down to listening to those hunger fullness cues at the end of the day and using food as fuel and not just for pleasure. That is basically what it's all about. So I think we're on 8. My 8th tip is something, again, you guys see me do all the time, but it's worth reminding yourself and it's worth just going over it again, just to start fresh so you've got them all in your head, is if you go out and if you leave the house, take food with you. It sounds so easy, but if you leave the house without taking food with you and you happen to get hungry, there's probably not going to be really good, healthy, vegan, oil-free stuff out and about. At least there isn't where I live. And then you're going to be stuck and you're going to eat whatever there is because the hungry monster comes out. So the way you can combat that is just by taking food with you. And I know it can be a bit of a pain to kind of prep food and stuff, but you can keep it really simple. You can just have some fruit and some oil-free hummus and some carrots for dipping and maybe like a nice baked sweet potato. Keep it simple. Take some leftovers if you need to. I love to have a big jar of like overnight oats or something, whether it's breakfast, lunch or dinner. That is always going to be a fantastic, satisfying thing, very quick to throw together as well. So just if you're leaving the house, make sure you take food with you. It's so, so vital for staying consistent. And obviously, as we all know, consistency is the key here. If you're not being consistent 98% of the time, it's going to be really hard for you to see those weight loss results. And for so long, I had half a toe in Starch Solution, but I also kind of dabbled in the junk food and I was kind of doing that thing. That's not where you see progress. You see progress when you commit and you go all in and you just say, right, I'm going to trust the process, and that's when the magic happens. Anyway, take food with you is what I mean. Okay, so number nine is going to be a very basic one, which kind of helps all of these play out and makes all of these possible, which is, in order to stay consistent, you need to have a clean environment. So wherever you frequent, is it your house or your office or whatever it is, make sure you don't have loads of junk food there, and make sure you don't have higher calorie things like dates and nut butters and all of those kinds of things in that environment, because if they're there, you're more than likely to eat them. Obviously, I know that's trickier when you have families and you have kids who have different things in the house. Feel free to chat to them and have honest conversations. That can really be helpful. See if they can keep their stuff in their room or eat the junk food out while they're out and about or something. But yeah, having a clean environment is so, so helpful. So getting rid of all the junk and all that stuff that you don't want to be eating, even if it's healthy stuff, like it could be breads or pastas or whatever you lean towards, and making sure you get organized, go shopping, do meal plans, get yourself on top of things so that you have a ton of the low calorie density stuff in your house. So that is the stuff that's around you, and therefore that's the stuff that you're going to eat. And obviously make it as easy as possible for yourself. Keep your meals easy if you're super busy, and buy frozen veggies, frozen hash browns, rice, tins of beans, all that kind of stuff to make your life easier, because the faster meals are to throw together, the better. Okay, last but not least is all about moving your body. Now, although you don't need to move your body in order to lose weight, you can do it solely with food, obviously. But when you are looking towards weight loss, it is all about calories in versus calories out. And obviously you can really control the calories coming in. But if you're doing all of those things, it's great to move your body to really get some of those calories moving as well. But not only for that purpose, I think moving your body and just getting some form of exercise in is obviously just fantastic for your health. So regardless of whether you're looking at it from a weight loss point of view, for your health, and depending on what exercise you're doing, it really helps change your body composition as well, which is probably what we're all looking for when we're wanting to get lean. We're wanting to be strong and muscly and see some muscles and see some definition, all that kind of stuff. So that's when exercise really comes into play. So for me, losing the last kind of 10 pounds all over again, I'm also really wanting to prioritize building some muscle so I can really change my body composition and see that muscle coming in whilst I'm getting lean. Anyway, those are my top 10 tips for maximum effortless weight loss in 2024 that I'm going to be following myself in order to lose the last 10 pounds. And I really hope it will help you guys on your journey, wherever you're at, whether it's kickstarting your weight loss journey from the beginning or whether you have hit a plateau or, like me, are trying to lose the last 10 pounds. Anyway, I hope this video has been helpful for you guys. Please let me know down below if you have any thoughts or questions, or if you want me to go into anything a little bit deeper, I know this is a very different video from the kind I usually do, but I thought it was really important to sit down and just hash it all out with you guys. Also, if there's any other weight loss tips that you guys find really helpful, please drop them down below so that everyone else can have a read, and they might help me out as well. And I hope you guys have had a fantastic year, and I hope that 2024 brings you some incredible things and it gets you closer to your leanest, healthier self. If that's what your goal is, you can do this. Make 2024 the most incredible year ever, because it doesn't take long to make incredible change. You could be 60 pounds lighter by the end of 2024, and time goes so fast, so that's not very long. Anyway, I'll stop chatting. Have a fantastic new year, guys, and I'll chat to you soon. Bye.